Help Me Mama.
Hi everybody, this is Emily for Help Me Mama. Today I did a little video at lunchtime with Miss Melly talking about certain high chair tips. And I just wanted to fill out that little clip, which I'll put at the end, with some other information that might be useful for high chair time. It can be a good time, it can be a very stressful time, so here are some tips to help you out. Number one is eat together. I think lunchtime and dinner time and breakfast time is much more fun, and your baby will be much more content if you eat together. I think especially when you just have one baby, there's a temptation to like sit baby down in the high chair and then do everything that you were not able to do, right? I know I have that at times too. But I think that as much as you can, even starting in little 5-minute increments, it's important to eat together. If you want to have breakfast and lunch and dinner together as a family, you got to start when they're in a high chair because they will be trained to sit and eat with you. So eating together, it will also be more fun for them and more interesting if you're sitting there talking to them and practicing breakfast conversation and all those silly things. So definitely more fun for them. They'll be more content. They won't be like, get me out, because you'll be right there with them, playing with them. Number two, use 2 spoons. So you get a spoon for yourself to actually feed baby, and baby gets their own spoon to practice and play with. So when you have 2 spoons, they're not going to be grabbing your spoon all the time. The next one is let them eat. So I think when babies are smaller, of course, we feed them ourselves. But something that I have noticed since I have 3 now is that, number one, I have to let my daughter eat because she would not eat if she did not pick things up herself. No, that's not completely true. But I often will get distracted by my boys not eating, and I have to remind them to eat. And so she's sitting there, and if there was nothing in front of her, she'd have to wait for me to feed her. And so I end up letting her have little bits and pieces of things to eat by herself. Just little small things that are chewy or dissolvable, things like that. Easy for her to chew. But I noticed that she eats a lot better by herself than if I try to feed her. And that might just be her, and it might just because this is sort of the routine we've gotten into. But I'm telling you, I had so much trouble trying to force feed my first 2 boys. And they some days they were having it, sometimes they weren't having it. And I think I should have let them pick up food by themselves rather than force feed them for so long. When they're really early, like the 6 months, just starting to eat stage, you have to feed them. But once they get 9, 10, 11 months, they can really start to use those fine motor skills and pick things up and put them in their mouth by themselves. They are putting everything in their mouth at that time. That should be a signal to you that they can pick up food and put it in their mouth by themselves. And that also makes high chair time more interesting for them. Even if they're just picking it up and putting it on the floor. If they're happy in the high chair sitting with you, consider even that good training for at the table time. So later, you'll get to the point where throwing food off the table is a no-no. The last one, and this is, my sister brought this question to me and somebody else mentioned this question of what do you do when, you put them in the high chair and they automatically fuss. And they're like, get out. Well, that's why I would say you want to eat together. But the other part of that is they're starting, even at their young age, I would say at the 9 to 11 month when they get cranky in the high chair, they're starting to develop a little bit of attitude. And so that's when I would start, I don't know if you can see it, that's when I would start instructing them, especially because they're starting to develop language. I would start to prompt baby to say, out please, so that it's like a slow process. It's not going to be like the first day that you try this, it's going to happen. But you'll see in the clip with Melly, she's 11 months old, and if she starts to fuss in the high chair, I do not let her get out because she's crying. So if she's been sitting at the table, she's been great with us, and then she starts going, I want to get out. Those are the motions I want to get out. Instead of getting her out after fussing, I attach words to that desire. So when she's fussing to get out, I say, you say, out please, or up please, whichever, phrase you want to say it. But soon enough, she is going to attach getting out of the high chair with number 1, not crying, because I will not get her out when she's fussing. And number 2, being calm, because I will get her out once she's calm and listening to me. And then number 3, finally, after much practice, after many moons, she will say, out please, because there will come a time when I know she can say it, that I won't let her get out until she says it. And that is probably going to be in a couple months from now. It's not now, not when she's under a year, not when she doesn't have the language, but I'm teaching her the language. And I'll just tell you my little philosophy principle on this, and it is that kids learn language by themselves, right? But everyone around them is teaching them. And so, yeah, a kid could learn to talk by themselves, just by observing the people talking around them and sort of talking to you and blah, blah, blah. But if you don't teach them and instruct them good ways to speak and appropriate language from teeny tiny 11 months all the way through, what they observe, what they are taught might not be what you want them to learn. So if you pick them up out of the high chair and they're saying, they learn that is appropriate language to get out of the high chair. And this is just a tiny thing. It's not like it's irreversible, but you have to teach your baby language. You associate language with desire. You associate language with behavior. So that is my helpful tip, my thought for the day. Hi everybody. So I just wanted to do a quick video about Miss Melly being in the high chairs. I've heard some different problems that people might have with high chairs. I think number 1 is that your baby doesn't want to be in the high chair, and she's almost done with lunch, so she probably doesn't want to be in here much longer. You say, up please, up please. One trick that I do have on getting your baby to be in the high chair is that they're going to be happier in the high chair if you're sitting down and having lunch with them. Yes, and if you do clapping when they're eating, it makes it much more fun. Now I have 2, older sons, and they're here sitting and making it more fun for her too. But I think the best thing for baby, even if you just have one, is that you sit down to have lunch together, and that's good practice for family time and dinner time and all those things. When it is time, when it is time for her to get out, she's starting to fuss. Can you eat your noodles, right? Once she's starting to fuss, she's 11 months old, she's starting to say those mama, dada little words. Oh, and of course, it's going to the bathroom while I talk. When she wants to get out, I don't let her fuss to get out. So if she starts fussing, I'll prompt her to say, up please, or out please. Now, she can't say it yet. Beauty, she can't say it yet. But one day she will, and she will know that she's not getting out of the high chair if she's fussy, but she will get out when she's calm, and then one day she'll actually say, out please, because she'll associate out please with getting out of the high chair. So those are my little tips. Yeah! I love your cheeks! You're so beautiful! Oh, you're so pretty! And then making lunchtime as fun as possible! And clapping and being excited! And all those things make the high chair a more fun place, rather than if you put them in the high chair and then just walk around the kitchen and do stuff, which sometimes is a necessary thing, but I try to reserve high chair time for lunchtime, for mealtime, so that they get into the habit, even if they're not going to eat very much, put a couple bites in front of them. Even if they don't eat much, it's practice of mealtime with the family. And I think that's important because, I know with my first, we didn't have like a regular meal as a family for a really long time because I didn't do this. So I hope that was helpful to you. I don't know if you can see me. Hello! And anyways, I'll probably do a little bit more on this later, but I thought that you might want to see how we would have her in the high chair. You want to get out? You say, out please! Out please! And that is when, out! Out! Yeah! Out please! So when she's happy, she was just fussing, so. Yeah! Yeah, that's when I will get her out. If you like this video, if it was helpful to you, please give it a thumbs up. Share it. Share it if it was helpful to you. Maybe it will be helpful to someone else. And you can always comment below. And if you have an idea for a video, let me know.
Help me, Mama!